Hello everyone, this is part 3 of the texturing. For this we'll be doing the creatures. For starters, I did not cover this in the last videos, but I am expecting to see clean UVs. Example would be clean and organized like this. Um, this is to both benefit you and your employer when they're looking at your portfolio. Um, but yeah. And to also keep it as compact and tight as possible. And yeah, so pretty much like I said with other videos, I am a bit sick, so my apologies if uh, if my audio isn't picking up that well. Um, but yeah, so as you can see here, pretty much the same as what I said before. Um, just organize it via lows and highs. ZRush is trying to crash right now, which is quite funny. Yep, just like I said, it crashed. um, but yeah, so let's get over the texturing. This is the overall expected result that I'm wanting to see for the creatures. Um, some really strong things that I would like to note. Um, Subsurface is what's really going to make or break the creatures that we are doing for our game. We are going for a sort of being that looks like this got born out of a portal, if that makes sense. Kind of alien-like in the skin. Uh, and yeah, so let's get started. So I also separated my files so that way it didn't crash when I was baking. Um, it's a workflow that I've been doing for a while, and I honestly don't see myself stopping that unless it's something like small. My baking settings, um, it changed over time, but this also was a character or creature that is that I made over the summer last year. But I'm wanting to see all these settings get adjusted as so. For starters, I would like to see the output size be well for the game. It's probably going to be either 2 or 4K. But presentation purposes is going to be 8K. Anti-aliasing, I want to bump up to 64. Um, Max rear and dilation width, I want to see bumped all the way up. Ambient occlusion, secondary rays all the way up. Ignore back faces to by mesh name. Curvature, secondary rays all the way up. Self intersection to by mesh name as well. And thickness, secondary rays all the way up. And self occlusion by mesh name. And that would be giving you what this is right here. So let's see how I achieved that look, the final look last summer. So it appears that I did the Jared Chavez method. I call it Jared Chavez because that's where I learned from. Uh, another method, no, not method, another method, but another name for this method is the clown face method, where you give it a red base, and then anything that shows bone or gives intention of bone marrow in any way, um, you give yellow, and then you give like sort of a dark bluish in areas where there's fur, hair, or depth. Um, and I am painting this, these two in particular. This is before my naming conventions were made. Like I said, this is with my old texturing workflow. Um, so it is a bit unorganized. But yeah, and then you give it a bit of a base skin, as you can see there, the sort of really light purple. And what I do when I'm painting, I would either choose a Cement 1 or Cement 2 brush, or a Concrete large brush, is it be so Concrete light. Um, I'll just paint it lightly using my pen pressure. This one here looks like I just darkened up certain areas by increasing the hue, I believe. Not hue, the tone. Yeah. And you're just hand painting it, you know, just classic skin texturing. And then it looks like I gave this one a red using a curvature map. Yeah, this is quite outdated. Highly recommend that you use the levels as well when you're doing this, so that way you can adjust the levels of the curvature, as you can see here. Apologies for if that was a bit misleading at first. But yes, definitely use levels when you're adjusting your maps that you're dragging in. Okay, it looks like I added levels to that one. Anyways, with this one, bit of a darker purple to hand painting it, as what I can see here. In certain areas where they're like a dark purple. Make sure you use your references. That's highly important. But yeah, just painting in around areas like that, like so. This seems to be sort of a pinkish used in what I can assume is the mouth. Yeah, I don't know what I said from what I can assume. But yes, that is the mouth. And this is the fur. So with this, I use a variety of different noise maps, from what I can tell. Wait, take that back. That's actually a fur base material. Yes. I can provide that as well if need be. But basically, I just did a variety of breakups. Kind of similar to how you'd layer your hair cards using like different blockouts and whatnot. As well as giving a bit of a sheen with the fur as well. Definitely give it roughness variation breakups as well. This looks like a roughness layer. Interesting. Ah, and this is where my roughness breakup was at. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that now. Okay. Apologies. And then after some critique, I've learned that this was not nowhere near the level of darkish purple that we're going for in our game for the creatures, at least with the dark beast. So gonna give that purple overlay and give it dark purple overlay. And to change it to overlay, you go to your settings right here, and then hit overlay. And then you adjust it like so. And then after you're done with that, export these just like so. Presentation, I did 8K, but like I said, 2 to 4K would be what we would be using in our game. These would be the output maps. Put it in the output area or output directory, export. And then after that, you're going to make a separate folder for subsurface. So what I would do for subsurface here is I make a fill layer, make that black fill layer with roughness cranked all the way up. Roughness isn't what you're going to need anyways. It's just for to help your eyes. This as well. And then you would hand paint in red for your. You use the color red for your subsurface, especially for the beast. And then you'll hand paint in areas of where you would sort of see through the skin a little. this is what gives you that alien effect for the skin that we're going for. Like they were born out of like these weird magical portals, you know? Except it's more like portals of hell for these guys. Be careful. I was not careful. You can possibly paint it over your like ears. For instance, ears are very important when it comes to subsurface. But yes, keep in mind, mistakes can happen like so. But from what I can tell in the render, it doesn't really affect it. And then you export these in a separate folder. Let's see. Back then, I believe I was a bit lazy and just exported it right here. But basically, you create a folder for a subsurface scatter, select it, and then you'll only be exporting your color. And that's how you get the body. Now, for everything else, like I said, I did it all in a separate folder. Well, not folder, but a separate file. So let's go over that. Okay, so for the eyes, you're going to be hand painting these eyes. You will not be using a texture scan or anything like that. Plus, these eyes are also heavily optimized, as you're about to see. Well, not too heavily optimized, but optimized enough. Another thing. Depending on the character concept that you're given, and then also depending on how you sculpted, you can also turn on symmetry by going to here. Activate symmetry, mirror symmetry with the x-axis, and then you start your painting. This is also a bit wrong how I did this back then. You would be using one eye instead of two eyes. So that way it doesn't take up as much UV space. Anywho, for your eyes, well, at least for my eyes, this is what I did. I basically hand painted like so, and it's auto saving. That sucks. Give that a second. Yeah, like I said, very important step here is that we're making somewhat stylized eyes to give it this kind of look here. And to do that, you would place a red base material. This appears to be a mask. Ah, yes, okay. And you'll just paint that in like so. And make sure that the roughness is pretty much all the way down. And you give it a little bit of metallic sheen. Apologies. These appear to be not making much of a difference. I believe this might be an emissive. Yeah, this is an emissive. That's not needed because there is an emissive right here instead. And we'll get to that in a second. So then you give it a bit of a darker tone, paint that in, hand paint it, and you can just hand paint it in here, like so. And then you give it an iris, a cornea, make sure it's black, lower that roughness almost all the way down as well. Give it high information, so that way the normal map can pick up the height, and then give it that bump, you know. That's pretty much it for those eyes. And now time for the this little section right here. So it appears that I give it a emissive fill, as you can see. Lower the roughness again, but actually I increased it a little. interesting enough. And then I hand painted in the emissive, and then from what I can assume, I used something probably like a crack. Could be this one. I believe it was it was this one. And it appears that I did a white mask. As you can see there, yeah. White mask, to activate and deactivate, you swap between X, as you can see. And make sure like lower opacity in certain areas. So that's how you do those eyes. I believe the tongue is next. So for that, it looks like I just gave it a black mask, tapped it like so. I can show you how I did that as well. So remove mask, do that black mask, click on this, click on the box, and just simply drag it out, or you can just tap it. Let's get the tongue. Next other thing about that is you can accidentally sometimes pick up other meshes when you're dragging it like that. So I would just drag it in here. What's next? It would appear to be a bit more on the tongue. Give it that gloss, that wet gloss that you'd add to any tongue, really. It looks like I hand painted it using that concrete brush that I was mentioning before. Looks like I didn't really care too much about painting it below, but that's only because you're only going to see the top. Let's see. Yeah. And then the next is going to be a bit of a base material for those, or for these, from what I can see. Oh my. Yes, quite strange. Oh, okay. Yeah, so I just hand painted a base color for these little fins up here. Yeah. Okay. So next part is very interesting. Very vastly important to keep in mind. I can provide this smart material. Well, I can provide this as a smart material if need be. Actually, no, I will. I'm going to export this as a smart material real quick. Except I'm going to take out this, that, and the darkener. Okay, perfect. And what you're going to do is you're just going to slap this on. Like, okay. So first, I'm going to create a smart material, like so. Call that bones. Yeah. Bones smart SM. Yeah. I'm going to export that again. Or create a smart material out of that. And then I'm going to export this. Select it, drop it on here. And I'll attach that via either a Dropbox link or just slap it into the Discord for you to download. But basically, this was back when I was using smart materials and base materials, which I mean, you can still incorporate into your workflow. It's just better if you know how to make it from scratch. Hence why we made all the other materials from scratch in the other two tutorials. But yeah, so next, after that, after you slap those on, you're then going to black mask it, of course, select these areas or just like the bones, and then what you're going to do is you're going to hand paint in a bit of this area, tips, if you will. Wait, is that hand painted? Ah, my apologies. Looks like a curvature was used, a curvature generator. But, and again, you can always just use your own curvature map. Just adjust it with levels, which I recommend doing. And then for this, you're gonna hand paint this in, I believe. Yes. Hand paint and the whites. Gonna give it that look, as you can see here. Yeah. So just like hand paint in those areas, the tips, like just like so. For the claws and anything bone related, especially the horns. And then you're gonna apply a darkener. And that's gonna be an overlay darkener. That's where you're gonna get that darkened look that we're looking for. Let's see, next. Looks like it'd be opacity. Yeah. Opacity mixed with subsurface. Do this for something such as like fins, as you can see here. But what you're gonna do is, since it looked like I did an opacity bake, I'm gonna slap in the opacity map. Yep, slap it in like so on this layer, and then you hand paint, and actually, you don't even hand paint it. You just slap on a base color, and then you export that. Feels like I am missing something. Fascinating. Yeah, there should be a material for this, but it's pretty much the same material for the skin. So, but yeah. And that's how you pretty much get this. And then you export the textures like so. Doing the same thing I said before, with making its own subsurface file, or folder, I meant. And then you also make a folder for like the actual textures itself. And yeah, the result is pretty much this. So yeah. So this is the end of the video. If you need anything, in general with all anything textures related, let me know. And yeah, thank you for watching, and bye bye.